Yeah, our paper shows empirically how public export credit agencies, short ECAs, shifted from fossil fuels to renewable energy over the past decade. So ECAs are government-backed agencies that de-risk and thus enable energy projects worldwide. So in the paper, we found that the global shares of renewables, especially offshore wind, went up from below 10% to over 40%, mostly driven by European ECAs. And we also show that this shift is not always linear nor global. And even as the European ECAs shift away from fossils, the renewable energy projects are now more concentrated in Europe, which raises global equity issues and also calls for more international cooperation. Our outreach strategy has two main target populations. The first one were the policymakers in ECAs and the respective ministries responsible for these ECAs. And the second audience was the broader public, which we targeted through media, publications, op-eds, and roundtable discussions. But really the key was accessing policymakers. And how we did that is over several years, we really established expertise in the energy sector, in energy financing. And while the ministries themselves had access to this non-public data source that we used, what we achieved in the team was really to systematize and classify the data to really pinpoint what counts as an energy sector transaction and what not, and in which part of the value chain is this transaction located. So just to give you one example, we had like a big chunk of deals in this sector are LNG tankers. And while previously they were classified as transport, what we managed manually and also through algorithms is to identify all LNG tanker transactions and reclassify them as gas midstream. And through this process, very iterative and tedious, we basically showed worldwide how the long-term trends in energy sector financing via ECAs unfolded.
So another important aspect of our outreach strategy was participation in various high-level events and specialized industry events, which helped us also gain, in-person access to some of the policymakers and establish ourselves as experts in this field. So I think one of the things that worked really well is asking the right question at the right time. Basically, the question of export finance and its role in the energy transition has become politically salient when we started our research, thanks to the commitments at COP26, for example, and the launch of Export Finance for Future coalition. So there was an interest in this under-researched area, and I think we managed to bridge this research gap.
What worked not so well in our study was, even though the role of finance for shaping future greenhouse gas emission trajectories is decisive and well established, it's sometimes very technical. And so this specific item is difficult to transmit to broader audiences, especially in the media sometimes. A second point that worked not so well is the shifting geopolitical environment that we encountered whilst we were writing this study, and then also the communication of our results to policymakers, because once Russia invaded Ukraine, we had a shift of policy priorities from climate towards security and other national concerns. And up on this event, several countries backtracked on their climate commitments and were then also less interested in the role of export credit agencies in advancing the energy transition.